Fani Willis is now the subject of a second congressional investigation, and we're going to look at that letter in full. It's only 3 pages, but similar to the ongoing investigation that the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is leading, this one also centers on allegations made by the former staffer Amanda Timpson. Amanda Timpson is a whistleblower who says that she was fired shortly after trying to warn Fani Willis back in November of 2021 that Fani's office was attempting to misappropriate an almost $500,000, $488,000 federal grant meant for the creation of a youth gang prevention center. This letter is also raising questions about funds that were meant to help Fulton County and the Atlanta Police Department clear a rape kit backlog. Back in March, Fani Willis had said that Amanda Timpson was just a holdover employee who had filed repeated, meritless lawsuits, advancing similar assertions since her termination for cause. She also said that congressional interest in these allegations is part of a partisan effort to interfere with her election case against Donald Trump and his co-defendants. But this Senate investigation is coming just 1 month after the Justice Department said, hey, there are some inconsistencies. So let's look at this 3-page letter and you guys let me know what you think. So make this bigger so it's full size so you guys can read along. And I always like to see the who's who. So this is obviously addressed to Fani T. Willis, District Attorney of Fulton County. This was sent over just yesterday, May 15th. And even though it's coming from the United States Senate, let's look at who's writing it. So if we scroll down here, we see that it is signed by Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson. And what are they saying in this letter? So, Dear Miss Willis, the Justice Department Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, within the Office of Justice Programs, awards federal grants to state and local communities to, quote, administer a variety of juvenile justice and child protection programs. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office has received millions of dollars for law enforcement-related programs through OJP. According to recent reports, the Fulton County DA may have misused funds from these grants to fund unrelated travel or the purchase of computers and, quote, swag. We write today to request information connected to an OJJDP grant and other federal grants to Fulton County. In fiscal year 2020, OJJDP awarded Fulton County nearly $500,000, the actual amount was $488,000, to establish the Fulton County Center of Youth Empowerment and Gang Prevention Center. The stated purpose of the center was to provide professional development, academic mentorship, and a community network for youth at risk of becoming involved or continuing in gang activity. According to reports, the center has yet to open, and the building meant to house it is closed to the public, its gates padlocked. Reports have raised allegations that the portions of this and other federal grants funded by taxpayer dollars provided to the Fulton County DA's office were subject to misuse. Most recently, the Justice Department reportedly stated that it found, quote, inconsistencies in what Fulton County has reported to the federal subaward reporting system, and we are working with them to update the reporting accordingly. Specifically, the inconsistencies relate to $88,900 from your office to the Offender Alumni Association. Fulton County records show that money was transferred, but Justice Department records reportedly do not, and the reported administrative director of the Offender Alumni Association said to the press, quote, I have no idea where that information is coming from, referring to the records of payment to the association. Now, it's worth noting, and I'll link to this letter in the description if you want to visit each of these footnotes. I am trying to keep this video concise to give a quick update, but maybe we'll dive into these individual issues in another video. But here, what's being cited here is some stuff from the Department of Justice, some stuff from the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative website, 3 different reports here from a reporter for the Washington Free Beacon, and then another from the Department of Justice here. So there's a lot of footnotes loaded here, each with links to what they're citing. Now we're going to hear a bit more about Amanda Timpson and how her whistleblowing is bringing this to the attention of now 2 different bodies that want to investigate Fani Willis. So Amanda Timpson, the former director of gang prevention and intervention for the Fulton County DA office, reportedly notified you that an official in your office planned to use the OJJDP gang prevention funding, quote, on computers and other ineligible expenses, such as MacBooks, swag, and travel, instead of helping at-risk youth in the community. Ms. Timpson brought these concerns to your attention on November 19th, 2021. 2 months later, you terminated her employment. Now, this is a snippet of that conversation from the whistleblower Amanda on November 19th, 2021 with Fani Willis.
What is the sentence theme?
Once I told him about his, respectfully and in an email, about his lack of leadership and the fact that he wanted to do things with grants, that were impossible. And I kept telling him, like, we can't do that, and questioning stuff. He would take me off projects, tell people I wasn't doing what I was supposed to because I questioned him. Because I understood, I helped write that grant. I knew what was in that grant. He told everybody in front of Crystal, Deontay, everybody, we're gonna get MacBooks, we're gonna do that, we're gonna get swag, we're gonna use it for travel. I said, you cannot do that. It's a very, very specific grant. Took me off. I questioned Junior DA. There's kids in there from out of the county, all this. Took me off Junior DA. I did not want to do it. He made it look as if I wasn't doing what I needed to do because I questioned him. Because I knew for a fact Mr. Cuffey respectfully did not know what he was doing. Period.
So I respect that is your assessment. It was clear to me that you and Mr. Cuffey were not getting along. And I'm not saying that your assessment is wrong. I want you to really listen to the words I'm saying.
Cuffey, and this is my personal opinion, to one woman to another, is dangerous to your administration. He tells people, when I reached out to you, he told me, oh, you think your word is safe? Exactly when you reached out to Miss Willis, she called me and told me, she tell me everything. So once you reach out to her, she's gonna reach up back out to me. So I didn't even go to HR because he put Dexter's name on my PDP, and I didn't even feel safe going to anybody.
Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 supervisors that have failed in this building. What's interesting to me, because I'm in a learning curve too, they each pretend to have a relationship with me that they do not have.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's an intimidation tactic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that you felt that way.
I'm sorry that you felt that way. How do you read this conversation? Let me know.
But you, Dexter certainly don't have no relationship with
Right.
Michael Cuffey. You were safe to go those places.
So if you had missed some of the stuff that was going on with this whistleblower Amanda Timpson, that was a preview of it, and 2 months later she was fired. Fiscal year 2020, the Fulton County DA's office received $2 million in federal funding through OJPs. This is where we're getting into the rape kit testing for the Atlanta Police Department. So we just talked about some funding that was supposed to go to a youth and gang prevention center that never opened. And all of that is, simultaneously while that grant funding is coming in and there's planning and all this stuff is happening, we have this extremely long and expensive Rico trial being prosecuted against YSL. Prosecuted, in my opinion, pretty haphazardly. And at the same time, while there's all this focus and limelight on these big Rico prosecutions, including gang prosecutions like YSL, the Prevention Center meant to help the youth in Fulton County and prevent gang involvement, which received almost $500,000 in funding, still sitting padlocked. Like something's not right there. Something's not right there, and it can't be explained away by the idea that, workplace relationships are as American as apple pie. I don't know what type of goofy words or statements can explain why, if you're getting funding for this type of program, the funding's been received, the building is still sitting there closed to the public. Separate issue that I've talked about on my channel is the idea of, how long should someone sit unindicted in jail awaiting for an indictment, going without a possibility of a bail or bond hearing? Well, by statute, the Fulton County DA is supposed to notify the judge if more than 45 days have gone by with a person still sitting without an indictment. If they don't have an indictment yet, they need to let the judge know. And the national average is 30 days or less for people sitting in jail awaiting indictments. But in Fulton County, the average is 91 days, and there are people that have been sitting there for more than a year without an indictment. And when the ACLU came along and made some public records requests to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, hey, we're requesting some records on the notes that you're required to send about certain people that have been sitting unindicted for extraordinary lengths of time. They tried to ask twice, and both times, the Fulton County District Attorney responded and said, we do not have the responsive documents. If you don't have the responsive documents, that means you're not doing it. So that's a third program. We're about to talk about SAKI. We're talking about the Youth Prevention Center here, the Youth Gang Prevention Center. And then there's a third issue that's always in the back of my mind when I think about what's going on in Fulton County. With this, Fani Willis got into office and she allocated funds to create a pre-indictment diversion program. It was part of her videos on her website. promoting her initiatives as DA. And all those bells and whistles about pre-indictment programs, but we don't even have responsive documents for something that you're statutorily required to do within 45 days, even though for some people 1 year or even 2 years has gone by, that they're still sitting in jail. So I'll get off my soapbox on that. And now we're going to get to this third thing, right? The second part of this letter, the second part of what these senators want to know. So in fiscal year 2020, the Fulton County DA's office received $2 million in federal funding through OJP's Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, SAKI. According to OJP's Bureau of Justice Assistance, the office that administers SAKI, these funds were authorized to, quote, address the issues that underline the problem of unsubmitted sexual assault kits and help law enforcement and prosecutors solve more of these heinous crimes. However, data published by Fulton County from 2020 to 2023 show the Fulton County DA's office spent approximately 49% of its SAKI funding expenditures on travel and conference expenses, such as hotel, airfare, rental cars, and then approximately 28% was actually spent on professional services, such as forensic and DNA testing. What do you think about these margins? Obviously, there are some administrative costs associated with running any initiative. But what do you think about 49% going to travel and conference expenses, while only 28% is actually spent on the intended professional services that will help this initiative to clear unsubmitted sexual assault kits and help law enforcement and prosecutors solve more of these heinous crimes? And then take this statistic. Only 28% of these funds are going to something that could help solve these crimes and help victims. If they're not investigating these kids, they're probably not finding and arresting suspects, let alone prosecuting them. But on the flip side, Fulton County is on the extreme end where people are sitting in jail without indictments, without the opportunity for bail or bond. So we're not prosecuting these crimes with real victims, heinous crimes. We're doing something else with the money that's supposed to help get these kits processed and tested. So what are people sitting unindicted in prison for? We have a pre-indictment diversion program that's typically used for first-time offenders, petty crimes, victimless crimes, and people are still sitting behind bars, unindicted, for 90-plus days. Yet if we hop over to the pool of sexual assault crimes, we're bullshitting away a great percentage of the funds that could be used to help bring these cases to justice. What are we doing? This letter continues. Moreover, in 2023, the Fulton County DA's office spent approximately 98%. 2023. The Fulton County DA's office spent approximately 98% of its SAKI funding on travel and conference expenditures. What do you think now? Because initially we're looking at this 4-year period. We zoom in on 2023, now this 49% shoots up to 98%. 98% of funding for the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative is going to travel and conference expenditures. The apparent and significant discrepancy between the purpose of the federal award of taxpayer money and the actual use of that money raises alarms that it hasn't been used as Congress intended. The waste or misuse of taxpayer funds is unacceptable. Therefore, given these recent reports, we request the following. So what do they want from Fani Willis's office? A list of all federal grants received by Fulton County DA since fiscal year 2019, a complete accounting of all expenditures for each federal grant. The request includes, but is not limited to, individualized receipts and invoices for expenditures, summaries of conference and travel expenses. So show us where that 98% is going in 2023. Conflicts of interest screenings, performance measures and outcomes, and all records related to the expenditure of these taxpayer funds and compliance with all applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. All records referring or relating to the Fulton County DA's planned expenditures for each federal grant it received, including but not limited to any complaints or communications referring or relating to concerns that an expenditure may not be permitted or was inconsistent with the purpose of the federal grant associated with those funds. Please respond no later than May 29th. Thanks for your cooperation and attention to this matter. And then they sign off. So this letter talked about 2 major things, and I added in a third, right? So the letter talks about the center that was supposed to be an initiative to help youth stay out of gang activity and help prevent crime. The second issue they talked about, which is a new one for me to look at in Fulton County and very shocking to see those numbers, is an initiative meant to help prosecute sexual assault crimes and bring them to justice. And then the third issue that I interwove, it's not part of this letter, but the idea that people are sitting unindicted beyond the statutory limits, and there aren't responsive documents as there should be, where Fani Willis and her office are supposed to notify a judge if someone's still sitting unindicted for more than 45 days. There aren't responsive documents for that. Now, the Senate is asking for documents related to those first two issues. But we've already seen a history and a pattern of, well, we don't keep receipts. We heard that during the disqualification hearing. And maybe you can say, hey, this relationship thing is no big deal. It happens. It's as American as apple pie. But I think we're at a point where it's undisputable that there is inconsistencies and there is a obvious unwillingness to answer on Fani Willis's part when people are asking how taxpayer and grant money is being used for these initiatives that she says her office is accomplishing. It's like, how do we have so many people sitting unindicted for petty and victimless crimes, and there's a pre-indictment diversion program in place that's getting funding devoted to it? But then we also have 98% of funds going to aid the prosecution of heinous sexual assault crimes, going to travel and conference expenses. And that's 2023. That can't be blamed on a prior office. These are issues that are a big deal to me. When you're a public official, there's supposed to be records kept. There's supposed to be standard operating procedures. There's supposed to be accountability. And like I've discussed with the indictments, people sitting without indictments, there's statutory requirements that the DA is supposed to have records. They're supposed to submit documentation to judges to let them know, to notify them, hey, we still don't have an indictment for this person. We're working on it. Maybe you need to have a bail or bond hearing in the meantime for them. They're required to do that and they're not. When is enough enough? Guys, that's the end of my rant here. I'm turning the floor over to you guys. The floor is completely yours. Let me know what you think. I will also link to the video I did about the indictment problem in Fulton County in the description if you want to check that out and put it as an end screen. But other than that, you guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in, because no matter where any of us sit on an individual given issue, right? I think these are important issues that, we should at least talk about. But until next time, again, floor is yours. You guys take care. Have a good one.